Good morning, friends. Important video on 55th GST Council meeting held on 21st December 2024. As per recommendation and the press release issued in this regard, it is divided into 5 broad categories. First, change in rates for goods or services, certain measures for facilitation of trade, streamlining compliances in GST, and certain changes in law and procedures with other measures. So we are going to discuss each of the recommendation. For that, I'm sharing my screen with the press release and will discuss each of the point for more clarity and understanding purpose. This is the press release which I'm referring to. I'm starting with the category 2B, measure for facilitation of trade. So first important amendment they are going to do in Schedule 3, which is neither a supply of goods nor supply of services. They are going to insert clause AA in paragraph 8 to explicitly provide the supply of goods warehoused in a special economic zone or free trade warehouse zone to any person before clearance of such goods for export or to domestic tariff area shall be treated neither as a supply of goods or services. So they're going to insert this subclause AA under para 8 of Schedule 3. So if SEZ unit or free trade warehousing zone supplying any goods to any person for clearance for export, then that will be considered neither supply of goods nor supply of services, and no GST going to be chargeable. Importantly, this amendment going to take place retrospectively from 1st July 2017. Second, taxability of vouchers. We all know vouchers are subject to litigation. Since GST got introduced, we have seen many challenges and litigation in this regard. Now, GST Council has considered this point, and then they are going to address this long-standing concern regarding taxability of vouchers. So what they are saying importantly, they're going to omit Section 12, subsection 4, and Section 13, subsection 4, which is time of supply provision for vouchers. So they're going to omit. And they're also going to omit Rule 32, Sub-Rule 6, money value of goods or services or both redeemable against such token, vouchers, coupon, or stamp from CGST rules to resolve ambiguities in treatment of vouchers. So what was the disputed point, if you're recalling? Whether voucher per se is chargeable to GST. This was the dispute, right? And we all were claiming and saying it is actionable claim, or you can say transaction which is going to happen in future. So what happened when voucher is being supplied? Can you levy GST? Or GST going to be levied when the underlying goods or services going to be supplied, and value would be the value of that underlying goods or services. So there was dispute and confusion. Now they are saying voucher per se, they are going to omit time of supply provision and the valuation provision. It's a welcome step. Having said that, they're going to issue a clarification. And what are the clarification? Please read what press release is saying. Press release is saying that transaction is voucher shall neither be supply of goods nor supply of services. But my question is it prospectively applicable or retrospectively from 1st July 2017? Because in the past, we have seen many litigation. So if it is made prospectively applicable, then what happened for the past period? So this is the one point of concern. Let's wait what kind of clarification they are going to issue. To me, if it is retrospective, then it will done away all past litigation. While doing so, I'm recalling one important, the treatment which GST Council always recommend. Those who have not paid the taxes, they would be relieved. But those who have paid the taxes, no refund going to be granted to them. So this is the one irony whenever we see such kind of clarification and recommendation. Let's see, but advisable with the retrospective date. Distribution of voucher on principal to principal basis. Quite interesting, right? When you're supplying as a principal to principal basis, no GST, shall not be subject to GST. But wherever vouchers are distributed on principal to agent basis, and such supply is being made for commission or fees by the agent, then that commission or fees going to be chargeable to GST. For simplicity, if you're a principal like Shopper Stop and supplying the vouchers of 2,000 rupees, no GST. But there is an agent inside and he's being paid commission or any fee for supplying this voucher, then that commission and fee chargeable to GST. Clause C. Any additional services such as advertisement, co-branding, marketing, promotion, customization, technology support, customer support, etc. related to voucher. Voucher per se, neither a supply of goods or services, but any such services would be leviable to GST on amount paid for these services. Unredeemed voucher, like where vouchers are not being redeemed, a cutoff date given in a vouchers get expired, breakage, would not be considered as supply. So you may be having income towards those vouchers which is not redeemed by your customers. No GST is payable on income booked in the accounts in respect of breakage. So this is a recommendation on vouchers. Coming to the point number 3, that they are going to issue certain clarification through a circular to remove ambiguity and legal dispute. So look at what all point they have considered for issuance of circular. The first point, clarification regarding requirement of reversal of ITC by e-commerce operator in respect of supplies made under section 9 subsection 5. Quite obvious. You'd be recalling that such e-commerce operator are deemed supplier and they need to discharge the GST liability. Take an example that Swiggy or Zomato supplying restaurant services, and Haldiram is supplying through Zomato or Swiggy. Then Zomato and Swiggy need to charge GST 5%, pay in cash. Am I right? And Haldiram, it would be exempted. This is what the treatment. Question was, if there are service, input service in the hands of e-commerce operator, and that has got nothing to do with the restaurant services, and those services are related with their other supplies, with a reversal to the extent of this restaurant services with respect to restaurant services is required. There was litigation. But now they have said GST Council has recommended no reversal of credit by e-commerce operator in respect of supply under Section 9, subsection 5 of CGST Act. They need not require to reverse any credit. That's what they are saying. So no reversal would be required in the hands of e-commerce operator. That's the advantage. Going to the next point, clarification on availability of ITC as per section 16, subsection 2, clause B. In respect of goods which have been delivered by supplier at his place of business. So you'd be knowing the provision that under section 16, subsection 2, you need to satisfy 5 conditions for availing credit as a buyer. You should have tax invoice. You should have received goods or services. Your supplier must have paid taxes. Being recipient, you are regularly filing GSTR 3B, and your credit must match with GSTR 2B effective from 1st January 2022. Having said that, what would be the receipt of goods? When supplier is supplying the goods at his premises in case of ex-works transaction. So being buyer, you're receiving the goods at supplier's place of business, or your transporter picking up the goods from supplier's place of business. Will it be receipt of goods in the hands of recipient? Answer is yes. We have discussed many times that yes, it is receipt of goods. And that's what they are saying, that deemed receipt of goods by recipient under section 16, subsection 2, clause B. So there will not be any dispute. Come to the next point. So most important and awaited one, applicability of late fee for delay filing of GSTR 9C. We have seen in the past period starting from 17-18 to 22-23. Why 23-24 is not included? Quite obvious. For 23-24, date is 31st December 2024. So it is only up to financial year 22-23. What they are clarifying, that late fees, question was, is it separate for 9 and 9C? They have quoted the provision section 47 subsection 2 and saying late fees includes for both when you're filing annual return, including self-certified your financial statement. So late fees is meant only for 9. If required, you're filing 9C when your threshold aggregate turnover is more than 5 crore. For 23-24, you'd be knowing that you need to file 9 only when aggregate turnover is more than 2 crore and 9C only when aggregate turnover is more than 5 crore to be calculated on all India PAN basis, compiling all GST registration together. So late fees is now for both. This is what they're talking about. Now they're giving specific waiver. If you have delayed or not filed your 9C. So waiver of late fee for delayed filing of 9C, which is in excess of amount of late fee payable till the date of filing Form 9 for the said financial year. You are liable to file, but you didn't file, provided you said Form 9C is filed on or before 31st March 2025 for the period 17-18 to 22-23. Now coming to the next umbrella. Streamlining compliance is certain major in GST. Streamlining. What are the streamlining? First one, they are going to insert a new provision for track and trace mechanism for certain specified evasion-prone commodities. There are certain evasion-prone commodities that can be metal, that can be plastic, that can be paper. So they will pick up what are those specified evasion-prone commodities and they're going to insert the mechanism of track and trace mechanism. And they're going to do this particular system on the basis of unique identification marking, which shall be affixed on the said goods or package thereof. So this will improve more compliances. Having said that, next point, clarification regarding recording of correct details of name of the state of unregistered recipient, as well as correct declaration of place of supply in respect of supply of online services. So they are going to make changes accordingly, and this is required to identify the state which would be considered that services are being consumed in that particular state, so that GST revenue accrue to that consuming state. So for that region, they are going to issue a clarification that correct details of name of the state of unregistered recipient need to be mentioned. Next umbrella, certain measures relating to law and procedures. Interesting one. Come to section 17, subsection 5, clause D, much awaited. Safari retreats. Interesting one. Recently, safari retreats, what was the judgment by Honorable Supreme Court? The issue was whether GST credit available on construction of immovable property. So mall can be considered as immovable property, hence credit on construction can be denied. This was the issue. While looking at the provision, section 17, subsection 5, clause C and clause D. Under clause C, they're saying credit is not available on works contract services for construction of immovable property, except plant and machinery, or when this works contract services is inward supply for outward works contract services. So credit is not available on construction of immovable property, except plant and machinery. Can be considered mall as a plant and machinery, or it is immovable property. Come to the clause D, that credit is not available on goods or services, or both, for construction of immovable property, even though it is in the course of furtherance of business, except plant or machinery. Here, end was not there. Honorable Supreme Court has decided, depending on functional test, mall can be considered as a plant. Hence, credit is available. And they have picked up this definition of plant from one of the income tax judgment, Taj Mahal Hotel Limited. And plant means mall, warehouse, building. So this has created big hue and cry. And now they are saying they are going to amend that to retrospectively from July 1, 2017, clause D of section 17, subsection 5. It is not plant or machinery, it would be plant and machinery. As per press conference done yesterday, it is categorically said they have done a clerical error. They never intended to provide any credit on construction of immovable property. So under clause D, it is clerical error. They have left plant or machinery, whereas it should be read as a plant and machinery. So credit is available only when it is plant and machinery. Clerical error. So they are going to make a retrospective amendment. Nullify this Safari Retreat Supreme Court judgment, my only submission. If it is clerical error for the legislator, being taxpayer, we also do sometimes clerical error. Why it is being considered as an intention to evade taxes? Why section 74 extended period gets invoked? When a legislator can make such a big mistake, why they were wasting so much of time after Odisha High Court judgment and it was pending before Supreme Court, and Supreme Court took so much of time, and then you're nullifying the Supreme Court judgment? Maybe if this was not the intention, clerical error, you could have come out immediately after Odisha High Court judgment. Why this much of time and efforts got wasted even for the revenue and for the taxpayer? It's a big question. Coming to the next measure which they are suggesting, that pre-deposit amount. You know that pre-deposit amount for filing appeal before first appellate authority is 10% of disputed tax, subject to maximum of 40 crore, reduced from 50 to 40 crore. Before appellate tribunal GST 80, it was initially 20%, reduced to 10%, subject to maximum of 40 crore. From original amount, existing amount was 100 crore. So from 100 to 40, but subject to that, this is the maximum amount to be calculated 10% of disputed tax. But in case of penalty order, in what cases penalty order is being passed? Section 129. You must be recalling violation pertaining to eBay bill with an intention to evade taxes, 200% penalty. In that case, if you're filing appeal, minimum 25% need to be paid, and that too in cash. Now they are saying we will reduce this 25% to 10%, and corresponding changes are going to be made under section 107, and corresponding change will come under section 112 as well. Allow me a minute only. Allow me a minute. Yes, please. Yeah. Yeah. I will check out right back, 12 o'clock. Thank you very much. Don't disturb. So this is 112 going to be applicable only when you're filing appeal before GST 80. So that's going to be 10%. Good one. Coming to section 2, subsection 69. And they're going to make amendment to insert an explanation regarding definition of local fund and municipal fund. Not much relevance. So next one, amendment in provision pertaining to input service distributor under CGST Act and CGST Rules 2017. Having said that, what are the amendment they are going to do? This is important. You must take a note of it. They're going to amend section 2, subsection 61 and section 20, subsection 1 to explicitly include interstate RCM transaction. You'd be recalling that previously ISD was not able to pay RCM liability. They made the changes, included that RCM liability can be paid by ISD service provider, input service distributor, and then further can be distributed by him. Now they're saying explicitly it is going to include interstate RCM transaction also. So this is what they are talking about, and RCM transaction going to be covered for interstate 5 subsection 3 and 5 subsection 4 of IGST Act. Now they are going to make changes correspondingly in section 20 subsection 2 CGST Act and rules thereunder. And these amendment, for your information, ISD mechanism is now made compulsory from 1st of April 2025. So you must take a note of it. Coming back to the another, grant of temporary identification number. by a tax officer to a person who is not liable to be registered otherwise. Why this temporary identification number? For payment of taxes, in case he is liable to make payment of taxes. And corresponding rule going to be inserted, Rule 16A in CGST Rules 2017. And that's what they are referring to, and they're going to amend the Rule 87 sub-rule 4 to incorporate the reference to the new rule and consequences modification in registration form, registration 12. Next one, they're going to make amendment in the field category of registered person for taxpayer who opted for composition levy through form CMP 02. So which you can cross-check that you can, taxpayer can be allowed to modify the category of registered person in table 5 of CMP 02 through form GST REG 14. Now the important one, invoice management system. As an optional introduced from October 2024. But we all are talking about whether this is going to be applicable. As per this recommendation, quite obvious, we need to get ourselves prepared. Invoice management system. What is that invoice management system? Being supplier, when I'm supplying, I need I raise tax invoice. So while filing GSTR1 or before filing GSTR1, I am going to upload such invoices on IMS portal, invoice management system. Those would be available to you, to recipient, to buyer. They can see, view. And once I have filed GSTR1, you have 4 actions to take. Either accept those invoices if related with you, reject those invoices if it is not related with you, or some particulars are not correctly filled, which you want your supplier need to correct it. Keep it pending for region. You got the invoice, it's pertaining to you, but you have yet to receive goods or services. So maybe credit it, move to subsequent tax period. And last is no action, which is deemed as accepted. So there are 4 action provided. Now what they are saying, it is worth noticing that they are going to amend section 38 of CGST Act, which is pertaining to ITC, read with rule 60 of CGST rules. And they are saying that your credit, buyer's credit, recipient credit, now as per 2B. So if you accept the invoice, then it will flow to your 2B, which can also be recomputed, possible before filing your 3B, recipient. But your credit would be dependent on GSTR 2B on invoices accepted by the recipient on IMS. I have prepared one video which is there on my YouTube channel. You can go to my YouTube channel and click this link which is provided. This document going to be given in description box, which you can download for yourself and pick up all relevant, the terms which I've highlighted for your easy digest. This link is being provided for watching my detailed video on IMS. They're also talking about another change, and which is to amend section 34 subsection 2. It is pertaining to what? Credit note. So credit note issued by supplier under GST, there are 2 actions. Supplier get adjustment of tax, that tax charge on credit note get adjusted with his output tax liability, and simultaneously buyer, recipient need to reverse ITC input tax credit to the extent of tax charge on credit note. So it's simultaneous activity. We have seen in the past that supplier may have adjusted the tax component on credit note, but whether recipient buyer has reversed the ITC, there was no mechanism available. So in the past, they have issued one circular number 212 dated 26 June 2024 for the past period. If amount involved is less than 5 lakh, then at least supplier can take certificate from the recipient for reversal of ITC on such credit note. If it is more than 5 lakh, CA or CMA certificate, right? But henceforth, it is all now through a system which got started on GSTN portal, already got started. They are saying they are going to amend section 34, subsection 2 to specifically provide for requirement of reversal of ITC as attributable to a credit note by recipient. So they're going to amend to enable the reduction of output tax liability of the supplier. So both the activities going to be done together. Portal has effected. Law is going to be amended. They are going to also insert a rule 67B to prescribe the manner in which output tax liability of the supplier shall be adjusted against the credit note issued by him. To amend section 39 subsection 1 read with rule 61 to provide that form 3B of a tax period shall be allowed to be filed. 3B shall be allowed to be filed only after 2B of said tax period is made available on the portal. So you will be able to file 3B only when 2B is made available on the portal. Good one, but only thing sometime we have seen technical snag and challenges on portal. 2B is not generated. And it is kept for a defined time period. What happened if specified date passed away? So we have seen in the past they have extended time period, but now they are saying that you will file 3B only after 2B is made available on the portal. Other major, which is the last category before rate and changes. So rate and changes I will take up after this. Look at the other major. So they are saying that GST Council has recommended the committee of officers suggesting measures for the various issues raised by state in respect of issues pertaining to IGST settlement, and ask the committee to conclude the desired changes by March 2025. Why IGST settlement? Because the state has got their SGST portion involved. GST Council took note of procedural rules proposed for internal functioning of GST 80. Took a note. Procedural rules proposed for internal functioning of GST 80. Yet we are not seeing what would be the date GST 80 going to be launched and available to the aggrieved taxpayer. So that procedural rules proposed, they have looked into that, which would be notified only after examination by the law committee. So wait and watch. Council has also decided to extend the time frame, for the group of ministers on restructuring of GST compensation cess. So compensation cess gone, but still that committee is looking into group of ministers. So they will check what happened for this compensation cess. Certain states are still demanding. So let's see this time extended till 30th June. So what kind of mechanism going to be provided? Whether the new levy 35%, which we have seen in the media, nothing got recommended on certain specified sin goods. So how to make up this need to be proposed by this group of ministers. State of AP has requested and council that a group of ministers be constituted to examine the legal and structural issues and recommend a uniform policy on imposition of levy in case of natural disaster and calamity in the state. Like Kerala, you'd be recalling there was Kerala flood sites on B2C transaction over and above GST rate. Can it be left to one particular state as per their need and necessity, or there should be certain legal and structural procedural part need to be drafted for all the state? That is what council need to be looked at, and group of ministers need to be constituted. Next, they are talking about FSI, floor space index, pertaining to land and building. Chargeable to GST, but whether chargeable under forward charge or reverse charge. So this was the point of contention. The matter was deferred for further examination on behest of central government on the ground that this amount relate to municipalities or local authority. So these are all four broad categories. Now I'm taking you to the rates, where the important rate changes are being prescribed. So this is important. Kindly have a look at. I will pick up one by one, and relevant one I will definitely discuss. The first one, reduction in GST rate on fortified rice kernel, 5%. Exempt GST on gene therapy to protect from life-threatening diseases. Extend the IGST exemption to long-range surface to air missile, all subsystem equipment parts, tools, test equipment exempted. Reduce the rate of GST compensation cess to 0.1%, similar like GST rate in case of merchant supplies. When you're supplying to ultimate supplier who is going to export it, merchant exporter. So compensation cess rate going to be 0.1%, similar like GST rate. Now, they're going to exempt IGST import on all equipment and consumable samples by inspection team of International Atomic Energy Agency. Next one, that concessional rate of 5% on food inputs for the food preparation under HSN 19 or 21, and which is intended for free distribution to economically weaker section under government programs subject to existing condition. Services that they are going to bring supply of sponsorship services provided by body corporate under forward charge. But what is the provision, by the way? For your information, existing provision is service provided by way of sponsorship by any person, supplier is any person, to any body corporate or partnership firm. So body corporate and partnership firm become recipient and subject to RCM. But they are saying if this sponsorship services provided by body corporate, then that would be forward charge. So this is what they are proposing. Coming to the item number 3, interesting restaurant. Like in a hotel where declared tariff is more than 7,500 per day, and that hotel is having restaurant. Existing scheme 18% GST on restaurant services with ITC, and they were demanding why can't we apply 5% with no ITC. So this mechanism is now going to be made available. That is what this recommendation talks about. Now here they are saying that to give an option to pay tax on restaurant services in a hotel, either at the rate of 18% with ITC, or you want 5%, but if you want 18% with ITC, if the hotel so chooses, by giving a declaration to that effect on or before beginning of the financial year, or on obtaining registration. The above change is going to be effective from 1st of April 2025. So for past, to avoid any transition difficulties. Now coming to the composition levy, interesting one. The renting, commercial renting, rent on commercial immovable property, right? Provided by unregistered person to a registered person, subject to RCM, right? And that's what made applicable from 8th of October 2024. Now they are clarifying that if there is supply of immovable, commercial immovable property, rent on such commercial immovable property by unregistered person to registered person, excluding composition dealer. So to that extent, relief to the composition dealer. So composition dealer need not require to pay GST under reverse charge. To that extent, they are going to clarify. and that is going to be made applicable as each weightage basis, meaning thereby for the past period, they would be granted a relief. Whenever I see as each weightage basis, 2 point comes up first. If you have not paid the taxes, you will be given relief. And those who have paid taxes, they will not be granted any refund. So that is different subject matter and dispute, but that is what as its weightage basis. Coming to the other changes relating to goods and services, what they are talking about, if it is sale of used car, including EV, that is going to be chargeable to 18%. And that too on margin. Margin means sell price less purchase price, only on net margin. If you're entitled to avail depreciation, then your sell price should be reduced by depreciation. So that WDV will come, and then with your purchase price comparison. So 18% chargeable only on margin. That is what they are providing, and that recommendation they are saying. But whenever there is a sale of used car, including EB, by unregistered person to unregistered person, no GST. This is what they are talking about. Clarify autoclaved aerated concrete blocks containing more than 50% fly ash content will attract 12% GST rate. Coming to the another that pre-packaged and labeled. So there was a lot of, they have come across doubt and confusion. So they're saying we are going to amend the definition to cover all commodities that are intended for retail sale containing not more than 25 kg or 25 liter. If that pre-package less than 25 kg or 25 liter, GST leviable. More than 25, no GST, which are pre-packed as defined under Legal Metrology Act or a label affixed thereto, is required to bear the declaration under the provision of Act and rules made thereunder. Here comes the big hue and cry popcorn. So popcorn, salted popcorn, they have considered as namkeen 5%. If that pre-packaged and label, then 12%. And if it is added with sugar and confectionery, example, caramel popcorn, 18%. So 5, 12, 18 on popcorn. Yesterday, I was seeing that press conference by Honorable Finance Minister, and she sounded that how it is being looked into. And it is being stated that certain media guys are creating hue and cry. Let me put my point across to all of you, and you would be agreeing with me. It is not taxpayer and media. If popcorn, there are 3 rate prescribed: salted, which is namkeen, 5%. If pre-packaged and labeled, 12%. And if sugar got added, caramel popcorn, 18%. If this is going to be GST rate applicable on one simple item, there are many things in the trade where we are having hue and cry. It is not going to simplify. Yes, you can looking into the classification. Yes, I do agree. All the council, with all respect in regards to my all GST council member, all the state chaired by Honorable Union Finance Minister. No, this is not the way. If it is item popcorn, let's do something at one rate. What happens if that popcorn is salted and sweet, added with sugar? Tell me what would be the rate then? Whether it is namkeen or it is, again, caramel popcorn. I'm asking this question. So I do not know. To my mind, it is not creating ease, rather creating complication. Of course, I do agree you're looking from the classification perspective, but classification need to be read from trade parlance perspective. How it happens in the market, how we look at in the trade, how consumer looked at, how customer looked at. Law cannot be made just sitting on one side of the story. Law should be made logically applying the market condition, applying the market balance theory, applying what is being considered in the trade. I'm leaving it to you. Those who are watching from government side, do not take me negative, but you will agree with me. If these rates, of course, then it is prone to tax evasion. So there are many things which can be stated in this regard. Payment aggregator, there are certain payment aggregator channel available. So no GST, at least when a transaction is up to 2,000 rupees. And the most important one, the penal charges. Penal charges means penalty. So no GST going to be leviable on penal charges. Penalty levied and collected by bank and NBFC from borrowers for non-compliance with the loan terms. Interest, GST exempted, it was only disputed on penal charges. So apart from, in addition to interest, there are the penal charges also. Whether GST going to be leviable, they are saying no GST. Now only question left out now, whether retrospective or prospective. For simple reason, for past period, lot of dispute. If it is retrospective, it will done away all dispute of past period. But if it is clarified as is where-is basis, then those who have not paid the taxes, they get relief. And those who have paid taxes, they will not be refunded. But otherwise, it is not chargeable to GST. It is continued to be in the form of interest. So to my mind, not chargeable to GST. So having said that, I have covered all the important recommendation which was given in 55th GST Council meeting held on 21st December 2024. My only humble submission and request, put your comment, whatever, where you feel like it's a good recommendation, it is not a good recommendation, what should have been done, like popcorn, which I did discuss, as is where-is basis. Put your comment in a comment box. Why? When this video is being watched by so many taxpayers and tax department, revenue officer, they come to know how the interaction is going on. So your pointer may click to their mind, to tax officers' mind, revenue mind, GST council's members, CBIC policy being, they will definitely see those comments and will look at that what correction further needed in this regard. Ultimately, we both, department and taxpayer, walking together for the nation growth and development. Objective is India to grow, prosper, GDP to grow for India. We all are for India. Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned and share this video with other colleagues so that they can also watch it. Any comment for me, please put your comment in a comment box. And this document which I've shown it to you is available to all of you for download in description box. Thanks for watching. Thank you very much.